Ganesh, let's talk a little bit about your journey in Asia and your perspective on a few things related to spirituality. First and foremost, you are a full-time Isha volunteer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I'm full-time with Isha for the last 11 years. I live at the main center, the Isha Institute of Inner Sciences in Tennessee.
Awesome. What was your profession prior to becoming a full-time volunteer?
Actually, I was in software, so started out as a software developer, consultant, and most recently, the last 4 or 5 years, as a business analyst or a solution architect type of role, but in different software companies. Actually, I was here in the Bay Area for 2 years at Apple, most recently before I went full-time.
That's interesting. Software to spirituality. How did the transition happen? Was there a trigger or was it a process that slowly developed within yourself? Can you tell us a little more about how you made that switch from being a software developer to a spiritual Isha Center volunteer?
Yeah, so I think as soon as I did the Innerengineering program, I knew deep down that this is, what was most meaningful for me and really what I wanted to kind of focus on long term. But it took me, several years, about 6 years, to kind of, arrange life situations and take care of finances and other responsibilities and allow myself to do that. But I think, the practice was so powerful for me, and also the process of volunteering and supporting the programs locally and in Tennessee. It was such a beautiful community, such a vibrant space, and so meaningful and fulfilling, that type of expression, So that really stayed with me and kind of transformed me. So it was a natural step, I would say, but it was something that had kind of, yes, been building for several years while I could kind of arrange my life to do that. Yeah.
Instead of your tech stock options being vested, you're looking at spiritual stock options being vested now.
Yeah, for me, it was just a natural expression of what meant something to me. And to be honest, I never really had those desires to accumulate a lot of wealth or have a lot of material things in my life anyway. That wasn't very important to me, even while I was working or growing up. So, for me, finding an appropriate expression to what mattered to me, what I cared for, what I saw was valuable in the world was always much more important. And that's where, whatever Sadhguru and Isha was offering was so much aligned to that. And I connected so much with the practices and with the volunteering anyway. So yeah, I didn't think much beyond that, but yeah.
Now that I've spent quite some time in spiritual world, what's the destination to this journey? Is attaining enlightenment on your radar at all?
I mean, I can't speak about those things. Sadhguru has given some understanding of, those dimensions. But, for us, and what he has said is look at it practically in your own life. Are you becoming more joyful each day? Is your energy levels getting enhanced? Are you becoming more capable and more empowered in the world? How are things with relationships? So slowly you start to see the growth that's happening within you. And another thing he always says is don't think about enlightenment, liberation, these things, because these are just words. They don't have any meaning in your current experience, but always see how to break what is binding you or what is limiting you. So if you break your limitations, if you constantly grow in that way, then anyways, one day you'll be free. That sort of freedom will naturally enter your life. So that really connected with me because I grew up with a lot of spirituality and a lot of talk of these concepts, but ultimately I didn't connect with it because it didn't mean anything to me experientially. They were just words that somebody else was saying. But the way Sadhguru spoke about it, he gave a practical path of how to constantly enhance yourself and constantly grow beyond tendencies and limitations and patterns that were there within us. And that's when true freedom comes, into our life. So I'm not concerned about enlightenment. I know that anyways, if I do the right things and, follow this path, that whatever needs to happen will happen.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us, because common people like us tend to think that enlightenment is something that happens just like turning a switch on in your mind or within yourself. it's rather a gradual process and can happen anytime to anyone. That's really good to know.
It can be, I think it also need not be. Again, like programs like this, the Ecstasy of Enlightenment, can give you a glimpse into those states, but more than a glimpse, can also make that a lasting reality. So it need not be any way, but that's why Sadhguru always says you explore for yourself, allow it to happen naturally for yourself, and for each person's journey may be different. We're not one to say how it'll happen to somebody else.
Ganesh, I want to ask you about something different. I did my inner engineering in 2018, and I could see on that day that a few of the attendees were totally involved. They were ecstatic, they were emotional, they were totally into it, while there were other people who were nonchalant, who couldn't care less. I began to wonder if the level of involvement is a factor of how much you believe in it. Is it true that people who do not question anything, they surrender themselves, they believe in this, they tend to get involved more versus people who are curious and analytical? What's your take on it? Is curiosity a bad thing?
I think, see, that's the beauty of this. It will work for anyone. It doesn't matter your own, way of approaching it, whether you're logical, intellectual, or. And Sadhguru never asks for anything like surrender or believing. Actually, everything that he offers is to go, to look at it fresh and to simply do the practice or apply it as a tool and experience it for yourself. And so when you talk about different people's experiences, again, that's very subjective in terms of, Sadhguru is giving us a kriya, which is activating the energy in a certain way in the system, but how that energy manifests in each person may be different.
Oh, yes.
Some people may have an outward expression to it, some people may not, but that doesn't mean it's not working. It's still working the same way for each person. And it's still aligning, all the dimensions of who we are in terms of our body, mind, emotions, and energies. It's just that each person is a different mix of those four things. So naturally, how that expression will be different. But it doesn't mean one person is having a bigger experience than another person. We don't know. Like, again, the subjectivity of an individual human being is constantly changing. So each time they practice may be different. For each person, it may be different. It's totally fine, and that's the beautiful thing about the kriya is anyone who does it, it works. It doesn't matter, kind of how they are or how they approach it.
That makes total sense. As long as someone is practicing, someone is learning the right techniques, using the right tools, the transformation is bound to happen. As a teacher, Ganesh, what has been the most rewarding transformation you have seen in any student of yours?
That's a good question. Actually, the biggest thing for me is always the 4-day programs, 4-day Innerengineering programs. When you see how people come the first day, whatever challenges they're facing in their life, just trying to even just make this program happen for themselves with their busy schedules. And then the way they leave on the last day after they receive Shambhavi, that's probably the most rewarding. That never, gets old, and we never lose sight of the true depth and the true power of that, because you're really giving somebody in a matter of 4 days a tool to really empower themselves for the rest of their life, to take charge of their life in any way. That's something they have with them that nobody can take away. So that, that's constantly very, very fulfilling and very powerful for me to experience that on a, almost every week or however much we can teach.
Great, and that's very real and very gratifying, I must say.
All right, dear friends, we truly hope you enjoyed this episode. Do stay in touch by subscribing to the channel. If there are topics that you would like us to explore in Raghuverse and talk about, please do let us know via the comment section. Take care.